Assalamualaikum, Doctor. We are from Group 6 and today we will present our independent auditor's report, Information Security Management System Audit Plan. There are four of us in this team, Muhammad Najmi, which is myself, Tan Yong Lee, Mobina, and Yong Chun Ki. This presentation will cover our audit planning, risk assessment, and our audit evidence.
Greetings, Doctor. Now I'll be presenting about the initial phase, which is the audit planning. And for this phase, we will begin by defining the scope, setting the objectives, and also determine the criteria for the audit. And the purpose of this planning is to make sure that the audit is carried out effectively and efficiently, and also to provide reasonable assurance that the audit will be performed in an effective manner. So the type of audit that will be conducted is an external information security management system audit. And the main purpose is to evaluate whether the company's information systems, particularly those supporting financial and operational data, are adequately controlled and secure. And also the audit will assess compliance with the current auditing standards, and it will be focusing on risk and control in the IT environment. And now for the audit scope, the key audit findings will cover the information systems and processes that support KMK's business functions, especially those with financial or reputational consequences. And there are two areas that are covered, which are in scope and out of scope systems and processes. So these are the in-scope systems and processes. The first one is the e-commerce website, which includes credit card payment processing system. And the second one is the internal sound accounting software package and the server it runs on. And the third one is the company's IT infrastructure, which includes server room, 6 employee PCs, and the network hardware like firewalls, and routers. And the fourth one is the IT general controls, which includes access control, change management, and backup and recovery procedures. And last one is the business processes such as sales that includes retail, custom, and online orders, purchasing, and also the finance. And these are the out of scope systems and processes. The first one is the operational technology on the manufacturing floor, like lathes and other machinery, unless they're connected to the business IT network. And the second one is the physical security of the factory premises, except where it directly affects the security of the server room or the IT equipment. These are the primary objectives of conducting this audit planning. The first one is to assess whether the financial and operational systems like accounting and sales are producing accurate and reliable data for decision making and reporting. And the second one is to determine whether controls over access, backup, change management, and system operations are adequately designed and implemented. And the third objective is to ensure that IT systems and processes comply with the auditing standards. And the fourth one is to uncover any vulnerabilities in data security, system integrity, or backup procedures that could expose the company to financial or operational risk. And these are the audit criteria, which are the standards and policies used to evaluate the company's information systems. The first one is the ISA 315, which is used to identify and assess the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. And the second one is the COBIT framework, and it is a widely recognized industry benchmark for IT process control and management. And the third one is the company internal policies and procedures, which includes like password policies, software usage guidelines, and also operational procedures as described in the company's documented processes. And this is the audit team that will be carrying out the audit. The first role is the audit manager, which is in charge of the overall audit process like audit planning, risk assessment, and reporting. And they also liaises with the client management. And the second role is the lead IS auditor, which focuses on IT general and application controls. And they also conduct system walkthroughs and tests as well. And the third one is the IT specialist, which helps to review technical aspects like system security, website integration, and also backups. And the fourth one is the audit assistant, which helps to prepare working papers, collect documentation, and also assist with the field work. And the planned timeline of the audit is that it should be conducted within 4 weeks, starting on 14 July 2025. And during this time, we will focus on gathering evidence, evaluating systems and processes, and finally preparing the audit report.
Risk assessment is the basis of our audit, where we will identify and assess the risk of material misstatement or security breaches to guide our evidence gathering procedures. Our approach is to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level by understanding the inherent and control risk, which in turn determines the nature, timing, and extent of our testing. There are several methodology that are being used in risk assessment. The first one is identifying critical information assets. First, we determine the most critical data and system for KMK's operations, such as customer data, financial records, or e-commerce platform. The second methodology is identifying threats and vulnerabilities. Based on the case study and our understanding of the entity, we will identify the potential threats such as data breach, fraud, and vulnerabilities like weak controls. Thirdly, we assess likelihood and impact. For each identified risk, we will assess the likelihood of it occurring and the potential business impact in financial, reputational, and operationally. Finally, we determine the risk level. The combinations of likelihood and impact will determine an overall risk health, whether it is high, medium, or low, which will prioritize our audit focus. We will pay special attention to significant risks that require special audit considerations. Now, let's talk about key risks identified in KMKs. The first risk with the ID of R001 is related to e-commerce platform breach. The threat is theft of customer credit card data and P2. Vulnerability, a new, potentially misconfigured website managed by a single IT person, Mutasami, without specialized security expertise. The affected assertions are confidentiality, accuracy, valuations. The inherent and control risk is high. The second risk identified with the risk ID R002 is related to inadequate access controls and insider threats. The threat is unauthorized access to and modifications of financial data, fraud, theft of assets. The vulnerability is weak control environment with a history of stolen PCs, lack of formal segregation of duties, and potential for management override to minimize taxes. The affected assertions, existence, occurrence, accuracy, and completeness. The inherent and control risk IRCR is high. The third identified risk with the risk ID of R003 is related to catastrophic data loss due to disasters. The threat include loss of all business data from fire, theft, or hardware failure. The vulnerability includes no formal disaster recovery plans. Backups are stored on site in a safe next to the server, which is not fireproof. And lastly, this is a critical failure in business continuity planning. The affected assertions is completeness and existence. The inherent and control risk IRXCR is high. The last risk identified with a risk ID of R004 is related to fraudulent financial reporting and misappropriations. The threats include manipulations of sales figure for bonus purposes, affecting salesperson Nathan, and secondly is the unrecorded cash sales from the factory. The vulnerability includes weaknesses in the sales and payroll processes, lack of automated controls and oversights for commissions and cash handlings. This reflects the fraud triangles, also known as the opportunity, pressure, and rationalizations. The affected assertions is occurrence, accuracy, and completeness. The inherent and control risk is high. This high risk assessment means that our detection risks must be set to low, requiring more rigorous and extensive audit evidence procedures.
In this section, I'll be presenting the different types of audit evidence we will gather to support our evaluation and to properly address the risks identified and assessed earlier, and to collect enough audit evidence that is suitable and useful. And one thing to note is that our audit evidence should be convincing, reliable, and relevant to what we are auditing, and that we should plan the procedures to collect this evidence from different and various sources to make it a complete and accurate evaluation. The types of evidence we will gather are documentary and technical evidence, physical evidence, and testimonial evidence, which include interviews and inquiries. So, the first type of evidence, which was the documentary and technical evidence, gets its source from system records, configurations, technical documents, and personal insight, and that will help us evaluate the integrity and security of IT systems. First, we will have the network diagram and asset inventory. We will review these documents to understand the overall layout of the IT infrastructure, including all the hardware and software in use. And this helps us clearly identify which systems are within the scope of the audit. Next, we will collect system configuration files from key components like the e-commerce server, firewall, and the sound accounting system. These will be analyzed for any security misconfiguration that may expose the system to risks. We will also examine the user access control lists taken from the operating system and accounting application, and these will allow us to check whether user roles and permissions are properly assigned and follow the principle of segregation of duties. System logs, firewall logs, and web server access logs will also be reviewed, and which this will help us detect any signal of authorized access, unusual activity, or control failures. In addition, we'll assess change management records, which will confirm whether system changes were approved, tested, and documented according to the organization's change control policy. We'll also check backup and restoration logs. These help verify that backups are being carried out regularly and that data can be restored when needed. Finally, for documentary and technical evidence, we'll perform our vulnerability scan on the e-commerce site, which this will allow us to actively test current security controls and identify any potential weaknesses. Moving on to the second type of audit evidence, which is physical evidence. This involves direct observation and physical inspection to assess non digital controls and real world practices that support the IT environment. There are two key areas we will focus on for physical inspection, which are observation of the server room and observation of processes. These help us confirm whether the environment and daily operations are secure and in line with the documented procedures. We will visit the server room to inspect its physical security controls. This includes checking for locked access, the presence of environmental protections like cooling systems, and confirming the location and safety of backup media. These help us verify that the infrastructure is not only digitally secure but also physically protected. Observation of processes. We will also observe employees performing routine tasks such as processing online orders or performing server backups. This helps us assess whether these tasks are carried out according to the documented procedures in what we call a walkthrough. By watching the process in action, we can identify any gaps between what's written and what's actually done. The third type of audit evidence is testimonial evidence gathered through structured interviews with key personnel. These interviews help us confirm our understanding of internal processes and controls from those directly involved in managing and operating the systems. We will speak to several individuals to gain insights from different functional areas. First, we'll talk to Ali Mohkadir, who is a managing director, to understand the company's risk appetite, governance structure, and how seriously IT and security are treated at the leadership level. Then we will talk to Musa Sami, working in IT, Topics include the e-commerce system, setup, backup procedures, incident response, and password policies. Next, we'll talk to Abu Bakr, which is in finance, and we'll ask about financial control mechanisms, focusing on journey entry approvals and handling of related party transactions. And then, last one, we'll talk to Nathan, which is in sales, and we'll cover the sales process, commission handling, and data protection practices for customer information.
This report presents the strategic plan for integrated tech assurance audit of Syarikat Perabot KMK Sendirian Berhad's information security management system. The plan has been created to ensure audit is conducted in accordance with professional standards. Several high-risk areas were found that deserve special audit scrutiny, which are the security of the new e-commerce site, internal access controls, and the lack of a formally documented disaster recovery plan. Our next step is to initiate the evidence collection phase, conduct technical testing, carry out interviews with principal staff members, and finally to evaluate the evidence. The successful and timely completion of the audit is due to the cooperation and transparency of KMK's management and personnel. The management will be kept informed of any progress and findings that we discover. Furthermore, the report of our findings will be submitted, and the recommendations to improve the information security profile of Syarikat Perabot KMK Sendirian Berhad will be provided. And that will conclude our presentation. Thank you.